Hi, my name is Marta. Today we're going to be talking about cyber threat in IoT devices. This is for the computer security class offered by Professor Jennifer Grant at Metro State University. Okay, just gotta make sure all of these work. Okay, so what are IoT devices? IoT devices is also known as Internet of Things devices. They're basically physical object embedded with sensors, software, and connectivity that allows it to connect and exchange data over the internet. Those devices they operate like they interact with other systems to improve efficiency, automation, and decision making. Some examples of IoT devices would be the Amazon Echo, known as Alexa, which is a smart voice assistant. Another one would be the Next thermostat, which is kind of like what adjusts temperature in our homes. And then we have the Ring doorbell, which is just captivating videos of what is happening in front of our doors. And then we have the Apple Watch, which is very known, which track health and sync with our phone. And then we have the Fitbit, which is like a wearable fitness tracker. And then Tesla cars, which are like they connect with device with real-time update. And then we also have like smart TVs, which like also connect with other devices. And then finally, we have the Philip Hue lights, which basically control lighting in the house or like anywhere else. Okay, just a fun fact. So the first IoT device is known to be the Coca-Cola vending machine at the Carnegie Mellon University in the early uh 80s. This was just a group of computer scientists that connected the machine to the internet to know if the drinks were cold or available before like walking towards the vending machine. And then after they connected it, they could receive like a report telling them if the soda was still in stock or if like it was chilled or it was like available, making it the first smart device to share real-time statue over the internet. Another one was the internet connected toaster that was created by John Rumsley in the 1990s, which could be turned on and off remotely. So both of these devices kind of like work pave their way to the modern concept of IoT devices. So how do IoT devices works? Again, so IoT refers to a network of physical objects embedded with sensors, software, and connectivity that allows them to collect and exchange data. So the first step is to sense, which is like the sensor, which like on the picture right here, it kind of like sensor motion, temperature, lighting, or like pressure. And then we have connectivity, which is basically it like sending the sensor to the connection or to like a data that's transmitted through Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or like other protocol. And then next we have the process, which is more of like a cloud or edge systems that analyze like the interpreted data and sensor. And then number four, we have the act, which is like an automatic action or an alert that triggered based on the insights. And finally, we have the interact, which is kind of like where we kind of like come in when we use our mobile device or like an app to like see what the IoT the device is making. Okay, so what makes these IoT devices vulnerable? Well, a lot of IoT devices are increasingly targeted by cyber criminals due to the widespread use and often weak security design. Many of these IoT devices are built with limited processing power, making it difficult to like implement strong encryption or like security protocol. And also, manufacturers frequently prioritize speed of putting the item on the market in or over security, leaving the device with default password or like outdated firmware and minimal patching support. The constant internet connectivity, meaning like they they always need like an internet connectivity to be able to work. Uh, and can kind of like create a large attack surface for like attackers. Without proper authentication, secure APIs, or regular updates, these devices can be exploited to steal data, disrupt operation, or even launch large scale attack like the bonnet that we're going to talk about in some slides. This makes securing IoT devices not just a technical challenge, but a critical priority for both consumer and industry. Okay, so major threat to cybersecurity. IoT devices are prime target for cyber attack due to their constant connectivity, weak security configuration, and lack of regular update. These threats can compromise personal data, disrupt operation, and even be used as an entry point into larger network. Some example are like the ransom attack, which is like hacker locks down devices or system and they demand payment to restore the access. Another one is the phishing and social engineering. This is where users are tricked into revealing credential or like installing malware. Another one is a cloud and IoT vulnerability, which is like the weakness in a connected devices are exploited to access sensitive data. And then we also have the DDoS, which is also known for distributed denial of service. IoT bonnet flood network with traffic causing outage. And finally, we'll also have the supply chain attacks, which is like a vulnerability in the third-party component or service is plotted to infiltrate secure environment. So some top IoT securities are weak password. So what this means is like the device use default or easy to guess password. Unsafe network services. Services open to attacks like DDoS or intrusion. Another risk is like no secure updates, which means like firmware can be updated safely. Another risk is unprotected data, meaning data is sent or stored without encryption. Another risk would be the poor privacy settings, meaning the device collect too much personal info. And another one is the insecure setup. The device come with a risky default setting. And another one would be the no device management, which is like hard to track or control the device. Another one would be the outdated component, which is like an old software with known vulnerability. Um, Another risk will be no physical security, which is meaning easy to tamper with or steal. Another one would be the weak app security, which basically means mobile apps that control devices are vulnerable. Okay, so in the previous slides, I kind of like mentioned Bonnet, also known as the Mirai Bonnet attack, which was a real problem. So what is the Mirai Bonnet attack? The Mirai Bonnet attack was a massive cyber attack that occurred in 2016. It was targeting vulnerable Internet of Things, the IoT devices like routers, IP cameras, and GVRS. The Mirai malware scanned the internet for devices using default or weak login credential. then infected them and turned them into part of bonnet. And a bonnet, the main definition of a bonnet is a network of compromised device controlled by attackers. This bonnet was used to launch distributed denial of service attacks, also known as the DDoS. This overwhelmed the server with traffic and causing major outage. One of the most infamous incident was the attack on the DYN, a DNS provider, which distributed access to major websites like Twitter, Netflix, and Reddit across the United States. The Murray bonnet highlighted the critical need for better IoT security practice, such as changing default password and updating firmware regularly. Okay, so how to prevent and stay safe from cyber threat while using IoT devices? Okay, to prevent cyber threat when using IoT devices, it is essential to adopt a layered and proactive security approach. The first one would be starting by changing default username and passwords on all devices. Many attackers like the Mirai bonnet exploit weak credential regularly. Weak credential, like the weak passwords or like weak username. And then another step would be to regularly update firmware to patch vulnerability and disable unnecessary feature or service that could be exploited. Another one would be network segmentation, which means like isolating IoT devices from critical system using separate networks or like VLANs. Another one will be enable encryption for data transmission and use secure protocols like the HTTPS or the MQTT with the TLC. Implement firewalls and intrusion detection system to monitor traffic and detect anomalies. Finally, choose reputable vendors that prioritize security and provide ongoing support. These steps helps reduce the attack surface and protect both the device and the data they handle. Okay, so how to stay safe? To stay sorry, to stay safe, we first need to like change the default password. This is gonna help because it's gonna stop easy access by to attackers. Another one would be to use firewalls and villains because this will help to keep device isolated from critical system. Another one would be to update firmware often, which will fix bugs and secure holes. Another one would be encrypt data, which protects info from being stolen. Another one would be limiting data collection, which reduce privacy risk. Another one would be turn off unused features, like that would shrink the attacker's surface. Um, Another one would be monitor device traffic, which like detects strange behavior early. Another example would be to use secure apps which prevent app-based attack. Another one would be lock devices physically, to stop tampering or thief. And another one would be to follow security standards to ensure best practice like the NIST or the OWASP or the OWASP. Okay, so what is next for the IoT security? The next phase for IoT devices is all about becoming smarter, faster, and more secure with the rising of edges computing. Devices will process data locally, like reducing delay and improving like real-time decision making. And today, AI is a big thing. So of course, AI is going to be included into it. So AI and machine learning will be embedded to enable predictive analytic and automation, while blockchain is being explored to enhance security and privacy through decentralized network. Sustainability is also a growing focus with IoT devices helping industry optimize energy use and reduce waste. Altogether, IoT devices is evolving into a more intelligent and eco-conscious ecosystem. And finally, this is a conclusion. So the biggest takeaway from this presentation is to understand that IoT devices make life easier, but they also open doors to like cyber threat. Um, this is why we must design like before the devices are being put on the market. The companies need to make sure that security comes first before selling the product. And then as a user, we need to do simple steps like changing our password or like updating firmware because again, like the botnet attack, that was one way that happened through password or easy credential. And then as future cybersecurity aspect, we play kind of like a key role in protecting these systems. Thank you, and that was all for me. Thank you again for watching my presentation.